Good evening. We're back again. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties, and we had to just go off the air for a few minutes. But we're back on now, and we're going to kind of continue with our interview with Leon and Ella, and we're going to start right now. So let's see if we can remember some of the things that you were saying before about how you got started, Leon.
Okay.
The spotlight is still on you.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I came in the door, right? No. Oh, you mean the oh, okay.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Getting started. I graduated from high school. No, I didn't graduate from high school. I went to high school.
Okay.
At the end of junior high, I started playing the saxophone, and when I did graduated in 1948, I believe.
Mhm.
And I was also an honor graduate too.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank God for that.
Okay.
I was the only brother in the in the whole graduating class, I believe. No, not really, but it's from Northeast High School, so
Okay.
that should explain it pretty well by itself. Let's see, when I graduated from school, I didn't go to college. I had taken college classes, as a matter of fact, all through high school, but I didn't go to college because I wanted to play the saxophone professionally,
Right.
and that's what I started doing.
Mhm.
And it was hard in those days trying to find some work, but I found
I imagine it
some
was.
some gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I think that I did that for a couple of years. Let's see. When did I go to the army? I went in the army in
You went in the army. I have it. You went in the army in 1957.
1957.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
See?
Yeah.
You went in
That was a pleasant memory of my
yeah,
life.
you went in the
so
army in
I don't
1950.
know that year very well.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in from 57 to 59. That was 2 years and 2 months. 'Cause I got some extra credit while I was in there. So, anyway,
You were in the Army band too. You had jazz band.
Was it
and
jazz
you
band
used to do
now?
arrangements
Yeah.
and whatnot for
All
the Army
right.
band.
yeah. Well, all the things that I was doing in civilian life, I got to do while I was in the army too,
Mhm.
except for the low pay,
Oh.
which they didn't pay much
Okay.
in the army.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was good. It was a good time in my life. I was out of Philadelphia for a while. I was stationed down in Augusta, Georgia, and it was a partying town back in those days. And I was a partying guy back in those days. But anyhow, let's see.
So you've been in music basically all your life.
Yeah,
And
from junior high on.
from junior high on, you were in music. And did your mother and father and sister, I mean, was it a musical family there at home? Just why you got into it, or
No.
you just got into
No,
it?
but they were fans. They had nice collections of records and stuff.
Okay.
Especially my mom. She was a big promoter of jazz,
Oh.
and I got all the names that I now know now from the old days. I found through her record collection, probably. Yeah.
And your cousin Billy Mitchell too.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about him. Yeah, Billy Mitchell was a person who I idolized because he could play saxophone and piano and trumpet and do
I need to
everything.
look Billy Mitchell.
Billy
Okay.
Mitchell, that's right. Yeah. So that was my introduction and my boy, I don't know what to call it, but that was what started me to be interested in it. That's why I got interested in the saxophone because of Billy Mitchell. Come to think of it, and so that you know, that pointed me in the right direction that I wanted to go in at the time.
Well, you know, when I post you two, when I post your photo on Facebook, I got so many responses.
Oh, really?
Okay, and I had a picture, and I said, "Who is this?" You know,
Yeah.
and they started naming. So Leon, he did that. I said, "Tell me, what did he do?" And they just started naming all this stuff. Ursula and First Choice, and I mean, it was so many people saying he did this for me. Terry Price, and I mean, it's nothing but good things that they said.
Yay.
Okay, and then I went back and I
You
asked
talk to all the
them.
right people.
I tell that's good.
Yeah.
Then I went back and I said, what did I ask them? The music directors, the band leaders of Uptown. I list three: Doc Bagley, you, and
Sam Reed.
Reed, right? And I said, put them in order. How did they come to the Uptown? I don't think anybody got them right. I'm sorry, guys. I don't think any of you got them right. Marcy, you came. Marcy tried. You did a good job, Marcy. But remember, I put the question mark down there because I think you had Sam Reed and Leon in the wrong place. But you tried. You did a good job. So everybody remembers you, and they were very, very happy that you were on this show.
Oh, great.
But they weren't as happy as I was. Because I wanted you to be on this show really, really bad. So I'm happy that you're here.
Okay, I'm glad to be here.
Okay. And
Somebody remembered me.
no, we all did. We did. Because when I talked to you, I had talked to you and you said to me, somebody remembered me or something. I said, we all did. We all do. We remember you.
Yeah, well, a lot of people remember me because I was instrumental in steering money their way.
Oh, well, they would remember you then, right? But how did you and Ella, how did you guys meet?
Leon was involved in a project for Leon Evans, Little Leon. We called him Little Leon at the time, and he needed a band, to play and singers, and I was at the time I was back doing R&B, and I was singing with a group called the Gilliam Brothers Band. And so that's how we met. We started rehearsing at Jesse James' studio, which is out at Germantown area. Can't remember exactly what it was.
Okay, Jesse.
But anyway, I was at the piano playing Misty, and I just so happened to play the correct chord changes as far as piano was concerned.
That's right.
And I played the right chord changes for the bridge because he said that everybody would always mess up the bridge. But anyway, so that's how we just kind of struck up a relationship from music,
Okay.
and so we did the show with Leon Evans, and there was a club on Arch Street, 20th and Arch, somewhere around that area.
20th
Anyway,
and Arch.
can't remember the name of the club, but and so we've been connected ever since. We got married. We put together. We started working on a group called Instruments and Voices. And we worked at the Uptown. This was after Leon's major Uptown days, but he got brought back into the Uptown. That's when it became the New Tech Uptown, and they had the different clubs on the. They had the main room, and then they had the clubs on the upper. They had three other clubs, and the Copacetic Lounge was the top. Was on the top floor. And so our group Instruments and Voices would perform at the Copacetic Lounge. Almost all the time. We were there all the time, often, and we were basically an R&B group, but I would interject jazz in there every so often. Some of the arrangements that I did from back when I used to sing with the Orlons, I took some of those arrangements that we did and interjected them into the group's arrangements. So that's basically how we. Even during the time when Instruments and Voices were together, we were writing. Leon and I were writing, composing songs. Some of the songs that he wrote, and then some things that we worked together on.
Okay.
And I always knew that I wanted to record, some of his songs because they were so great.
Yeah, and I admired Ella because Ella sang correctly.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
That she knew the words to the songs that she was singing. She knew the melody to the songs that she was singing. And her experience with
Orlons.
No, the lady that was singing with Instruments and Voices at first.
No, that was me.
No,
us
that wasn't you. It was before you.
But Instruments, you mean the Clef Club? You mean the
Clef Club, Big Band?
I mean the Legends.
Yeah, the Legends. Yeah.
With Evelyn Sims.
Evelyn Sims. That's the name I was searching for.
Okay.
And she admired Evelyn, and Evelyn was very very much an influence on Ella too. You know. But
Evelyn Sims, we used to call her Mama Diva.
Mama Diva, that's right.
And she was influenced on a lot of the jazz singers in the area.
Just
But
about
I found her fascinating. She was the first jazz vocalist that I got to know, and I would go backstage with her, be in the dressing room with her, and just watching her do what she did as she got ready to perform, and just listening to her stories, the folks that she worked with. So it was a big learning experience for me. I was like I was in school the whole time. She was Evelyn Sims was the first vocalist with Leon's big band, the Philadelphia Legends of Jazz Orchestra. And so when she passed, then I became the vocalist with the big band. And we used to do concerts at the Clef Club all the time. And that was, I guess that was kind of after, because after Instruments and Voices broke up, I started singing jazz pretty much exclusively. And I started, my first jazz gig was in 1985 at the at Freedom Theater.
Okay.
And then we started doing our big band concerts. And it became kind of difficult because, well, very difficult because Leon struggled to try to keep the schedule going. We got musicians working in all the different groups and, trying to keep stuff going. We managed to connect with the Clef Club, Philadelphia Clef Club of Jazz, and we would do our concerts there. And when we first started, it was like you could pay one ticket and get dinner and a concert. And then some people would complain, well, I don't want to buy dinner. I just want to see the show. And
Right.
so
It's
it got
always
to
an issue.
yeah. Then we had
Yeah.
issues with caterers and things like that. So it finally got down to the point where we got rid of the food, and then I tried to add little snacks in there, and that just it just got to be too much. So we had to put that aside. But Evelyn Sims was the first vocalist with the big band, and I admired her quite a bit.
Okay. And you guys are still working together, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you have a new CD out.
Yes.
And
yes.
you were a producer of that CD, and
Yeah.
we're going to show. Oh, it's up there right now. It's up there. I can't see
Hey.
it. Okay, Ella Gant. Gant.
Yes.
Third
stage
stage
of elegance.
look, I have to look at it. But I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, third
That's all
stage
right.
of elegance.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is actually my third CD.
The third. Okay.
The first
okay.
CD was called Immaculate Union, and I worked with the Dr. J Trio. And the second CD was from a live performance at the Allens Lane Arts Center. And then this one is I kind of feel like this is my first CD, even though it's my third, because it's the first CD where I'm doing all originals. They're all originals on the CD.
Okay. So the other CDs, you had cover songs?
The first CD had some originals on it, a couple that I wrote, and some of Leon's originals. And also, it was a co-production with the Dr. J Trio, and so some of his originals were also on there.
Okay.
And then we did a couple of standards. There was one medley we did called the Schizophrenic Love Medley, and it was a combination of 3 different jazz tunes. What is this thing called Love? Green Dolphin Street, and Love is a Many Splendid Thing. We managed to work out a medley for that,
Okay.
and basically Leon's arrangement, I helped out. But so that was our first CD. The second CD, we did songs at that time. It was called By Request, because there were songs that people would always ask for when we would do our live shows.
That was creative.
Yeah,
By request.
and these
like
were
that.
songs that people would always, request, basically. So we put them on a CD, and it was also a part of a live show that we did. So we did a lot of the requests that we did. I worked with a different trio on that one. Joshua Richmond was the pianist for that one. That was my first time working with him. And he was so great. I knew he was going to be gone after we worked with him. He was going to be out in the ethos, and I would never be able to work with him again because everybody would want him. But anyway, so on this CD, Third Stage of Elegance, I got to do all originals, and I say it's like my first CD because I get a chance to establish who I am as a vocalist.
Yes.
Yeah, and tell my stories. My stories, some of Leon's stories about life, love, spiritual existence, and just the whole journey. So. That's how we,
And what we're gonna do on our radio station, Philly Out Radio, on Tuesday, we're gonna play a couple of those tunes. So the world could hear some of your original
Great,
tunes.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
That's
right.
great.
Yeah, Ella was blessed with some of the most fabulous musicians in town for all of these.
Absolutely.
Especially
Absolutely.
the last CD with Aaron
I had
Graves
Aaron
on piano.
Graves on piano.
And
Aaron
Aaron
played
Graves
on a
is
couple.
in demand. Everybody wants him.
Everybody
Yeah.
wants Aaron.
Yeah,
I had
and,
Lee Smith on bass
Lee
and
Smith.
Harry Butch Reed on drums,
Mhm.
and Adam Falk. Adam Falk played the majority of the songs, and he's another wonderful pianist. Hard to get, but actually they're all hard to get because they're in
Busy,
demand.
yeah.
Everybody loves these guys.
They're
you know.
busy. Yeah.
Isn't that
But
something?
so it's,
Yeah.
it's an awesome experience when I get to work with them. It's just so much fun. They make me laugh, and I don't, and I cling to every minute that I work with them because I know it's a fleeting, experience, and when it's over, I have to wait until I can catch them again, and work with them.
okay.
But it's so much fun. Just
Yeah.
such
Well,
a
they
passion.
booked too because she worked with Lee Smith a couple of days back.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
Sunday just passed. I did a Sunday brunch with Lee Smith. It was his quartet with Lee Smith on bass, Aaron Graves on piano, Harry Butch Reed
wow.
on drums,
Same
and
her guys.
Larry McKenna. Larry McKenna on tenor saxophone. He is just wonderful.
Yeah.
Isn't
So
that
we just had a
good?
lot of fun. A lot of fun.
So you really enjoy what you do.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that is so important,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah,
So
yeah,
important.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I have to. That Sunday, I did a Jazz Vespers with Eric Mintel trio, and Eric Mintel is another group that I get to work with every once in a while. In fact, I met Eric before I met Aaron and the other guys.
Mm-hmm.
But so Eric Mintel is Eric
Yes.
Mintel on piano, Jack Hedgie on bass, and also Dave Antonou on bass every once in a while. And then there is Nelson Hill on saxophone. He plays saxes and flute.
Right.
And Dave Moyne on drums.
Wow.
And I'll be working with them next Thursday at the Art of Sound.
Okay, the art of sound.
Yeah, that's in
Okay.
Lambertville, New Jersey. I'll be working with
Lambertville.
them. And that's going to be fun.
The art of sound. You can't see it that clear, but it's the art of sound, and it's the 4th season of Unplugged. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The Eric Mintel Quartet.
With guest vocalist Elegant.
October 24th at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's at
trying to see.
Lambertville. That's also, this on Facebook somewhere.
Okay. And so they can go to your webpage.
Yes.
And your Facebook
Or
page?
Facebook page, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Are you, Leon, are you producing anyone? I mean, what is your day like now? It used to be something else because I used to see you. I get out of school, I'm there on Saturday, I'm there, and you used to be leading that band. And what is it like now? What are you doing?
I sleep a lot.
That's the truth.
She said that's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I used a lot of energy up in 85 years, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to catch up now.
Mm.
And but like it has its advantages too. You get to dream some.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, and you get ideas out of dreams and stuff too. But I'm not writing much anymore. That's the other thing that got kind of pushed aside lately. But it's mainly because I got so much junk on my piano, I can't play the piano anymore. So
Okay.
we're
working on that.
We're working
Yeah.
on getting the place
Yeah.
cleaned up and
Yeah.
cleaned out and getting
One
the
of,
junk out.
one of our goals has been to build a studio, not so much for recording, although that's a possibility, but mainly to have a place where we can rehearse
Practice.
We're rehearsing,
and
yeah.
practice, and then Leon can, because there are a lot of young musicians that are coming up that want to learn arranging,
And,
And-
this is the
and-
man to go to.
and this is the man to go
Yeah,
to.
this is
Right.
the man
Well,
to
I
go
got
to.
I got one
That's true.
student right now that I think is going to be really good. His name is Zakai.
Zakai.
Chicago.
Yeah, Zakai. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and he's taking piano lessons and stuff.
How old
and
is
he's really
Chicago?
coming
How
along.
old is he?
15, 14,
Oh, okay.
15,
Young,
something
Yeah,
like that,
14,
yeah.
15
Okay,
around in there somewhere.
congratulations. Okay.
Yeah. So he's serious,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I require in the student
Yeah.
for them to be serious,
Yeah.
you know. And
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that his mom is listening to this.
Yes.
Because we did
Yes.
tell her about that we were going to be on tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I just have to mention also that I started doing R&B
Mm-hmm.
and got into jazz, and jazz is always going to be the major part of what I do. But I've been pulled back into R&B with a group of girls that I sing with. That I have to say I'm having a great time singing with these ladies.
Okay.
I sing with a group called Sisters Attune.
Sisters
And
of
Sisters Attune.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a vocal collective, an offshoot from the Women's Coalition of Empowerment. It's a 501c3 organization
Okay,
that helps women in crisis, and also just guides women. And so this is the vocal collective, and we've been doing concerts. I've been with them for about the past going into 3 years.
Oh, we've been there a long
about
time.
3 years, yeah.
Mhm.
And so we basically do R&B. We take arrangements and we do our own spin on it. But I get to again. I'm always interjecting
Yes.
jazz. When we do our concerts.
Mhm.
And so we have a couple of things coming up. We'll be performing October the 30th at the library.
Okay.
That's
I think that
the
will-
library on Logan Square.
Okay.
And
That's at 6:30 to 8:30.
yes,
6:30 to 8.
8.
Okay.
Yes, and then and that'll be a preview of our main concert, which we're doing. It's a throwback to the 70s, and that's going to be at the Rotunda on November the 3rd.
Okay.
And we're going to be doing some of the big disco hits. We'll be
Okay.
doing some of those. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You gonna ask people to dress like that?
If you want to, you can come and dress like back in the 70s with the big fro wigs and
Yeah,
the
that's
bell
what-
bottom pants and all
The
that stuff.
platform
And the
shoes.
platform.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be doing that, and we'll be dressed with
Right.
70s attire, of
Okay.
course.
And that's November 3rd.
That's November 3rd.
And
that's
that's
the big.
right out. is
Oh,
that-
that's right in the West Philly area.
That's at
Rotunda.
1901 Vine Street.
Oh, that's the one on October
no.
the 30th.
This is at
The
40th
big
Street.
one on November the 3rd is
1414.
4014.
40.
4014 Walnut.
4014 Walnut Street.
at
Okay.
the Rotunda.
Okay.
And
Let me-
you can go to the wce.org and get information on the concerts that we'll be doing. But I just love singing with these girls. It's just been
Okay.
a lot of fun.
All right.
And Shakina B is our CEO, and she is incredible. She is a wealth of knowledge. She's brilliant. She's crazy, and she's just which you have to be, But
Yeah.
she's also an incredible vocalist.
Yeah.
Incredible vocalist.
Super soprano.
Yes.
Gilbert?
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in here because you mentioned something about clothes in the 70s and all, different type of things we were wearing back then.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that he does, has been doing it for decades, and I'm wondering when he started. When you start wearing that tab? 'Cause I remember back in the
Oh,
day,
Well,
No,
beatniks wore them.
he's been wearing
Right?
it for
that has nothing to do with being a beatnik.
And
mm-mm.
nothing to do with being
I
a
was,
No,
I was,
he's been wearing it
I
for
was in
years.
spiritual studies back in those days,
Mhm.
Sure.
and that's what
Okay.
it took me here. Because this is a yarmulke, really,
Okay.
which is can't call the name of the religion because
it's
I'm not
it's either
I'm not
Hebrew
limited
or
to
Jewish,
Jewish.
right?
Yeah.
No, I'm not Jewish. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a Hebrew.
Hebrew.
Yeah,
Difference.
which was
Okay.
just, which I tell my Jewish friends is what came before Jewish.
Right.
But that's how I got into this.
Well, from my ignorance, I was thinking Dobie Gillis back in the
No,
day.
no, no,
Maynard
no,
Oh,
G.
no.
Maynard
Krebs.
G. Krebs. Now you're talking my language. Yeah, he was the first beatnik when
Yeah.
I didn't even realize what beatnik was. He was the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, now in talking with you, I learned something new tonight. You said that Doc Bagley was your cousin, or
Yeah,
is your?
Doc-
Well, it
oh,
was.
and it's
was.
not Bagley.
That is Bagby.
Bag B. Yeah,
Bag B. was
Yeah,
your
he was my cousin,
Mhm.
and he looked out a lot for me at the Uptown, and Doc Bagby relied on him for all kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, it makes me think about the Donald Trump situation today, where Donald Trump is this guy, but they got all these people below him, and that he relies on, and he gives no credit to whatsoever.
I know.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
But,
isn't that terrible?
mhm.
Okay.
But George was a good guy too. A lot of people don't know George Woods. Yeah, Georgie Woods, who was
Right. Man with
The guy with the goods.
guy with the goods. And a lot of other people got some goods too behind being associated with him too. Yeah.
So then he, Doc Bagby was there, and then Sam came.
No, Sam was down the line a lot. Doc Bagby, Doc Bagby was on the road at the time. He was a playing musician that was on the road playing all over. And let's see.
Bill Massey.
Bill Massey is who they would call when Doc wasn't available. If Doc was out of town, then Bill Massey would come and do a show. And after Bill Massey came Sam Reed, and after Sam Reed came Leon Mitchell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all of us, like the job was the same. It was a house band leader. People would come in and bring their music, and we would hire musicians. I think it was a 16-piece band at the time. And when they would bring their music in, we'd have a rehearsal on a day. What day was that? I think it may have been I can't remember the details of stuff. But anyhow, we'd have a rehearsal before the showtime with the traveling people.
Okay.
And then they bring the music. We run over their music at rehearsal and then play it for the show. Now let's see. Did the show
Leon
run?
had to do arrangements for the bands that didn't have like complete sets for the
I
entire.
can imagine
That's
that
right.
because they didn't. They
60
probably,
bands. They might have just came with a rhythm section, and he had to,
Had to
expand it.
hurry up and get them some
write
music together
arrangements.
before the
yeah,
open.
because did they really know how to write the arrangement?
No.
That's what I mean, a lot
He
of them
did.
didn't. A
But
lot of them didn't.
yeah.
Okay.
And a big band can't play for anybody without having music. That's the thing. Like I don't know how to explain it other than to non-musicians, but anyway, you have to have somebody coordinate the music to what the musicians are going to do. All right, and they got to do that on paper so that when you put the paper on the music stand and somebody counts off, then the band plays. The singers come in and do the singing part, which is accompanied by what the band is playing, and so everybody knows what's going on, and you have a compatible.
It's
Compatible
organized and-
arrangement of music, right?
Arrangement, yeah.
And so somebody has to be the arranger, and that's the job of the house band leader at the Uptown Theater was to be the band leader, also to write the arrangements for acts that didn't come in with any music, and there were a lot of those.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else did the band? Hire the musicians
Conducting.
and conduct,
Yeah.
lead the band, and so everything, people come to see the show, and they don't see all this stuff going on
Behind the scenes.
behind the scenes. They don't see what's going on to make them be able to see a show
Yeah, and
that
hear the
has some
show, and
continuity to it, and to make it. But
That's where Doris comes in.
Because you know what,
She got you telling the
when I
story.
used to go, when I used to go to the Uptown, my sister and I, and we used to see all the things that's happening. Okay, but we were I wasn't a groupie, but we were so interested in to see the entertainers and all the music.
Yeah.
We didn't know what work went into getting all that
yeah,
together.
yeah.
We were just there having a good time when everything was over. Oh, weren't they good? Weren't they good? Did you see Smokey Robinson? Did you? So we didn't know like all the work that went in to pulling everything together.
Who required the most work every time they came in?
There's so many groups. There
No,
was
I
a lot
said
of
the
groups.
most.
you said the most. That's hard because most of the bands didn't have full books.
Mm-hmm.
So you did a lot of writing.
Yeah, they had to
Yeah.
get a lot of stuff done at the last minute, and or either later on, as the musicians traveling with them became more better verse, then they would write the music, and then everything could come in together,
Right.
and that would be good because then you have a rehearsal, the band shows up at 8 o'clock in the morning, sits down, they pull the music out, put it on the music stand. Guy counts off, and then I was relieved of duty by the time. I like this because my job was very easy back in those days when the bands would come in with their own music.
Right.
Because the guy traveling with them would be the person that directs their music too, because he knows exactly what's supposed to happen.
Right.
Okay.
So
you didn't have that experience, but not this guy.
yeah. No, I did, but I won't name any.
and there at that time, you know, it used to be so many shows, and so many different people coming in. You know, it was shows from 1 o'clock and then the midnight show, and you know, I guess
how many
that
shows
was
did they have during the course of a day?
It was 3, wasn't it? And the midnight show too.
Yeah, but usually be 2 or 3 shows, and then the midnight show would be on like a Saturday night, Saturday night or something.
Midnight show. So there's a lot of stuff going on at that time. So we want to just say thank you because we enjoyed that, and I know that you put a lot of work into all that. But
and then Leon's some of the musicians in his band at the Uptown, a lot of them became famous on their own. Leon had Grover Washington Jr. in his band.
Okay. All right.
Lucy
Grover.
Teddy Pendergrass
Yeah.
was a drummer in his band. And
Yeah.
he used to, Leon would say, he would tell me that Teddy Pendergrass would always say, I want to sing.
Yeah.
Shut up and play the
Shut up,
drum.
man.
Yes. So a lot of stars came out of the band.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. A lot of people became stars from performing in front of that band too. You know, like that was during the Motown era. So all those Motown acts came through the Uptown Theater.
Right.
And when they came through the theater, if they came through the first time, nobody would know them. And the next time they come back, they'd be a star because Jordy was playing the record on the air. And so everybody knew who they were, so they'd all show up. Let's see,
There was some good times, though. There was some good times, but you went on after that, okay? You went on after you left the Uptown and continued doing such good things. You did that. But one thing you used to do, and I'm reading it, but I remember you used to have a printing company.
That's right.
I remember that, okay?
We went to a place today called Screen Gems.
Screen Gems?
Screen Gems.
What's the rest of the name of that company name? I can't think of it.
I think that
It's
was
just Screen Gems. That's enough. Except that, you know, Screen Gems is a motion picture outfit too, right? And I got to talking to the guy, and he said, well, you sound like you know something about printing. I said, well, I know a little bit about printing. I only printing for 30 years.
Yes, that's
He said,
right.
That was
"30 years."
what he was doing.
I had my own business for 30 years.
Right.
You know, so because he was saying, well, what kind of presses did you run? I said, well, multi-lift and Chief. He said, what? He said, so he got the same presses back there. You got to buy to run them, you know. But nobody wants to run a press. It's too much trouble. You know, when you can run your computer up and type some stuff. You know. So anyhow, I'm expecting a call back from him though. So I don't know. He might call. But
that was in '91 when Leon went out of
that's
the printing
right.
business, and
That's
just
when I went
before
out of the
that,
printing
I went
business.
back to work full time because music did not sustain us at the
I
time,
understand.
and the printing business wasn't sustaining us either. So I had to go back to work, but. Fortunately, I retired a few months ago.
Okay,
So after 28 years,
yeah.
so now I get to sing. I get to sing when as often as I like.
Good.
You know, as often as as often as I hope to. So that's been a blessing, and then I get to look after him too.
It's good. He
Yeah, I
deserves
need a lot
it.
of looking at.
He deserves it. And when you had your printing business, you used to hire youth or interns to work with you.
Well, no. Well, I trained kids from the time I went to business. I trained neighborhood kids,
Oh, that
and
was
a
wonderful.
lot of them are still around. Matter of fact, they may have retired by now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, and it was good to them. It was good to me too. And I never got any of that that money. I should have, but I wasn't that smart back in those days to get somebody to finance that kind of stuff. You know, so
Well,
I financed the
but
whole
you-
thing.
you
all
did-
y'all
you
out
did
there
good.
listening, send your
You
money
did
to.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, and now you're back at the Clef Club, or you?
Well, yeah,
You're teaching?
I have one student at the Clef Club now, and I'm hoping to add more later on,
Teaching
maybe
piano?
the first of the year. Yeah.
Okay.
Also theory.
Theory,
Leon has,
yeah.
he has a
Theory, yeah.
really excellent
Theory
theory
class?
class.
And how do you get into that class? How does
Oh, call
someone
the Clef Club.
enroll? Call the Clef Club.
Yeah, yeah.
And-
They do all of the booking and all of the paying. So I'm happy
Now,
about that.
how about the age limit? Do you take like kids 6 on up, or how does that
Let's
work?
see, let me think about that a minute.
Most of the students
Maybe
start
10.
in teens.
Maybe
Yeah.
10.
Teens,
10.
teens.
Yeah, maybe
At
10.
10?
Yeah, maybe 10. And it's all according to the interest that the
Maturity
kid
level.
Maturity of the
shows.
student.
Yeah. It's all according to what they can take. You know, like my one student that I have now, he just started junior high school, and
I think he started high school.
I got sick.
High school?
I got sick this year, so he didn't get any lessons this year until a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
And he had a lesson, and I tested him to see what he remembered after all that time. Right?
After all that time, he was on it.
He was on it.
Right.
Yeah, he was right on
Right.
it.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, and I'm sure he'll continue. And what I'll do is recommend him to another teacher if I get to the point where I
Right.
can't teach him anymore.
Okay.
But nah, he was. I was very happy about that. He actually was listening.
Okay. Well, I have a few people I want to say. I want to just say thanks for joining in. Chuck Bazemore,
Oh, Chuck Baseball, yeah.
Chuck
Drummer.
Baseman, and Harfez. Hi, Harfez and Rosa Richardson. Thank you very, very much. Harfez said, yes, I'm enjoying the conversation. We lost you for a moment. Yes.
Yeah.
Pamela Renee Smith joined. Thank you, Pamela. Sandy Sykes joined. Thanks, Sandy. Thanks, Denise. And Harfez again says, honestly, God bless Leon. Okay. And there was many others on the other,
Yeah, well, before we lost it.
you know, it was many, many
They'll
others.
probably catch the watch party.
Okay. All right. So now, what are we planning to do now? You have your album, your CD out, and Leon was the producer of that CD, right?
Yep.
And so, where are we
Oh,
going
and the vocal
from here?
coach too. Don't forget
Oh,
that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, vocal coach.
Leon's been my
Yeah.
vocal coach since we've been married, and that's
Isn't
that's
that
an
great?
ongoing thing.
Hand
great.
the applause
He
button.
spoke about how he liked how I perform because I tend to sing the right melodies but that's all because of my influence or because of his influence on me.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, well, she
he's-
sings on tune. You
Ah,
know,
she has
I-
sing
you
flat,
know,
right?
I could know you, name you 50 singers right now.
Uh-oh. You sitting next
But
to
I
a
won't.
great one to talk
But
to.
I won't. I could, but I won't.
Doris would be like,
that and also diction.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dixon, right.
Yes.
I had to, but that came. I mean, Leon's been an influence for me as far as that is concerned. But I also got a lesson on diction early on when I went to West Philly High School, and Doc Gibbs he and I are soulmates, schoolmates. I was a part of the West Philly High School choir at that time. Back in '66, it was renowned. Or '64, I think. Was renowned by Dr. Wendell Pritchett.
That's right.
Dr. Pritchett was
Yeah.
he was a strict musician. He was probably one of the earliest influences on me. And a friend of mine, Doris Holden, and I went to audition for the West Philly High School choir. And you had to go into the Glee Club first
The Glee Club.
before you could
Yeah.
get into the choir.
Mm-hmm.
So we got into the Glee Club, and he gave us a hard time or he gave me a hard time. I think Dolores as well, but me in particular, because we didn't open our mouths wide enough when we sang. So he made us sing with our fingers in our mouth, you know, for at least a whole song. And I learned real quick that I had to not just open my mouth when I sang, but also pronounce words. He was very, very. He was a strict musician, but the choir was incredible. I have heard singers. I heard singers at that time, as a part of West Philly High School Choir, whose voices were so spectacular that I have never heard voices that good since.
Didn't his son take over or something like that?
I don't know if his son did or not. I know when I left, another nice guy, another guy took over. I can't remember his name, but because at that point, Dr. Pritchett had gone on to become the head of the music, all-star music, all-city music, and he became, you know, the head of music all throughout the city. And they got another guy who became the musical director, the director at the choir, at West Philly's choir. But Dr. Pritchett, I learned some things about music in general, and he was also a jazz fan.
Okay.
He did one of the earliest shows that I saw where he sang Misty, and he would get to the part in the bridge. You can say that you're, and he would get another singer in the back, which I finally learned later on.
Oh,
he would like something was wrong with his voice.
Yeah.
But it was another singer named Doris. I can't remember her last name. I almost thought it was her last name. She had an incredible voice, but she would be pretending to sing the bridge, and he was, you know, he would do something like this.
He hold his throat.
I thought that was the funniest thing, and then I realized, you know, he had the singer in the wings, and that was a part of his show. But he always sang some jazz. He always interjected jazz into our concerts.
Was it Doris Barnes?
No.
Wasn't Barnes?
It wasn't Barnes. I can't remember. Doris, gosh, can't remember her last name. She was in it. She had an incredible voice. Her, Beverly Arrington.
They were doing Milli Vanilli back then, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Is that funny? But he was a showman. He knew how to entertain an audience, and we would start with our classics and go into, you know, the more contemporary songs, and then he would do, you know, his jazz tribute, you know. And he had a great voice, but he would just do this little thing. And that was my introduction to just how you entertain an audience. How do you affect an audience, you know, with a little comedy, you know. I just thought that was brilliant, you know.
Performer.
Yeah.
That was great. That was really, really great.
Yeah. And that lesson I couldn't have gotten from Leon because he wasn't a performer per se. You know, he played the saxophone, but that wasn't his forte, you know. So all of those tidbits, you know, but it's just like all of us, you know, we learn and grab from everybody that we see and experience, you know, and that becomes a part of who we are, you know, as artists. So,
I'm getting a whole lot of things on my cell phone.
That's people
I'm
probably
Yeah,
they
time, Robert. They can't call in now. They can't call in now. They can't call us now. But then, in 1962, you went to New York. You moved back from New York to Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Is that what it?
yeah.
I
stayed in New York for about 2 years, 3 years, something.
And what were you doing there?
Well, same thing, writing
Uh-huh.
and arranging. I was G.G. Grice's protege at this time.
Oh,
Yeah. So.
okay.
he was also the A&R man at Blue Note.
Oh,
Records.
at Blue Note too. Yeah.
At Blue Note
Note Records. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that in there?
I didn't see that. I only saw that you had gone to New York and came back to Philly.
Yeah.
When you came back to
That was
Philly,
a short trip, wasn't it?
when you came back to Philly, then you returned to the Uptown.
Right.
Is that what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and you resumed as being the band leader, the music director there.
Yeah. That
At
was
that time.
That was. Let's see. I think that was after Sam left. Right after that, or something. Sam
Okay.
Reed left.
Mm-hmm.
Right after that. I don't know. See, I can't remember these years and stuff. Matter of fact,
Okay.
I don't want to remember these
Well,
years.
no, you just when I looked at your what I do is I look at your resume, okay, and I look at your bio, I should say, and I look at your Facebook page, and I look at everything, so that we can put it all together on Showtime.
Mm-hmm.
but it was so much, like on the web, about you, that I was just getting sick. I mean, I can't see as it is, right? And so I'm trying to read all the stuff that you've done. I said, I didn't know you did this. I didn't know you did that. So you had a magnificent career. So I decided just to let you, tell everything, that you've done throughout the years.
Very good.
Okay? And like I said earlier, people were really amazed and happy to see Leon Mitchell.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What's the likelihood, Mr. Mitchell?
Yes, sir.
What is the likelihood of Leon Mitchell, Sam Reed,
Uh-huh.
and Sam Peake
Sam Peake.
Sam Peake.
Okay.
playing,
Wow.
Sam
playing
Peake.
together
Um,
anytime soon?
Well, we could make
well,
that
I'm not,
happen if.
I'm not doing much playing
Okay.
anymore at all. But
You're not doing much playing anymore?
No.
All teaching?
Yeah, mainly teaching and trying to write and that kind of stuff. But you talking about people that I admire very much. Sam Reed and Sam Peake, the two Sams.
You can put Benny Barksdale in.
Who?
Mr.
Benny Barksdale?
Benny Barksdale, saxophone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know him.
He's good.
Okay.
He was on the one before we had to start over.
Oh, okay.
He's good.
Benny Barksdale.
Mm-hmm.
The
Benny
name is
Barksdale's
familiar.
good. He's
Yeah.
really good.
Sounds familiar, but I don't know him. I never
Okay.
met him. Maybe he's the
Can't
young
know
guy.
everybody.
But as you write,
Oh, we got a bunch of young cats too. Like there's a family over in Camden, the Dickerson family.
Oh,
Dick-
yeah.
Dickerson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob
And
and Wanda Dickerson, they have a karate school.
Mhm.
And they also, Leon became an influence in them in adding music to their school.
Oh,
And so
okay.
their sons, Nazir Dickerson and Jamal Dickerson,
Mhm.
and probably some of the kids,
The young ones.
the younger ones, started a music program.
Hmm.
And now they're all just masters in music.
Yeah.
I mean,
Isn't
they're
that
just
wonderful?
all
Them cats are
incredible.
playing.
Yeah, yes,
Give it up,
yes,
give it up.
Yeah.
that's wonderful. That's really
In
wonderful.
fact, they do, and I hope we didn't miss it, but they usually do around this time every year. They do a banquet of the Unity Community Center banquet.
Yeah, that's their main
And,
business.
When you attend their banquet, it's like a spectacular extravaganza. Because all the different factions of they have the creative arts ensemble, the African dance troupe. They have praise dancing. Some of the musicians perform. They also have the brass band, the UCC brass band,
Okay.
and you feel like you're in New Orleans when they come
Oh,
in.
wow.
It's
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
the whole banquet is just a phenomenon. We've attended several times, and it always gets better and better. But they added music to their program because of Leon's influence
Yes,
in what they're
yes.
doing.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna hear more and more about you and Leon as the time goes forward, because we wish you the best of luck. And as I said, we'll be playing your material, playing the songs that you've produced, and maybe you can get him to take someone in and you can train them as a jazz singer. I mean, because there's plenty of people that want to follow in your footsteps that you can train, begin to train, you can begin to produce, so we can keep music
Keep it
going.
yeah.
We can keep it going.
We do workshops.
Okay.
I want to try to get Leon to do a part of our workshop. We do vocal workshops where one of the things that it's been it's not a pet peeve, I guess, but it's an art, is how to be the leader in a band, for a
Oh,
vocalist.
yeah. Okay.
And a lot of vocalists, and
Uh-huh.
it doesn't
Uh-huh.
matter what type of music you sing. Once you stand in front of a band and you're a singer, you have musicians playing with you, you have to be the leader of that band. And that's an art that is not taught.
Okay.
And that's something that I try to share, with
That's
singers.
different. That's different.
Just how to know your keys,
Mm-hmm. Keep singing.
know
Yeah.
the type of music you want to do, how the feel of the song.
Mm.
So that's a part of the workshops that I try to do every so often. I get to do them and I try to do them at the Clef Club. So we have to try to find a way to interject what Leon does into the workshops. And one thing that Leon does that is a quiet secret, he is an excellent scatter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He
Oh.
scats like better than a lot of folks that I've heard. He doesn't, and he usually does it under his breath while somebody else is playing, playing a solo or whatever. I can hear him scatting, and he's very good at it. So every once in a while, I try to sneak the microphone to him, if I'm able, and if it's like a blues or something that I know he'll be comfortable doing, I'll stick the microphone and get him to scat a little. But that's another art form that I think folks can learn better from him than from me, because he's better at it than I am.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go back here and say a couple more. I think I have. Denise said, "I'm back. I'm glad you're back." Shirley Carter. Thanks, Shirley, for always supporting the indie show. Thank you very much. And Shirley said that was good stage presentation. Gilberto Cruz. Hi, Gilberto. And Dennis Harris. From MFSB.
Oh,
she got it right.
Yeah, I have to think of that before, but he joined in. Hi, Dennis.
Excellent.
And Dennis and
Dennis Harris.
Dennis Harris.
Oh, okay. Guitar player.
Yeah.
And Dennis Harris was here earlier this year. He was here twice, once for himself and once with Jimmy Weems.
Okay.
And they're supposed to be writing some songs. And I keep calling, please send us your songs.
Yeah.
So I know they're gonna be bumping when they do get together and write these songs. So they're continuing to write.
What's the other Harris that was Dennis's?
Norman Harris.
Norman Harris. That was Dennis' cousin.
Norman Harris is probably one of the few musicians that Leon worked with from back in the day that actually hired him, and gave him some work. Because when Leon and I first met, not long after we got married, Leon was doing arrangements for some of the R&B artists like the Dramatics, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. And he would do arrangements for them, and he would do a thing that he called the elephone, and put my voice, I would, sing along with some of the horn lines and whatnot.
Oh,
You'd be scatting. That's what the elephone was. Scatting.
It's also a way of me getting paid too. So that was
right.
that was good. But Norman Harris is one of the few folks that got, reached back and got Leon, to do some arrangements, so that he could get.
Okay. So now we go on and we talk about the future, and it's like I keep saying, it's a lot of youngsters out there that maybe be interested in composing and arranging and doing all the things that you do, or that you have done.
Yeah.
Okay, and what kind of what information will you give them?
What information would I give them?
To encourage them
the
to
first thing I would do is test them to see if they're interested. And you're doing that by saying, look, do this. And if they give you grief, keep on walking. But youngsters are generally very much interested in learning. So, and not only youngsters, but oldsters too.
Yeah.
Because I get calls still from people like Alfie Pilot, for instance, who is well known and well versed in music. But he says, look, I remember way back in the day. Man, please don't make me go back there. But yeah, and I have systems for reading music that are different. That open up the door to reading so that people can read better. And I can teach that, and it's not a long course, but it's in depth. So, that kind of stuff, like I get calls from people about that kind of stuff a lot of times.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking the other day, you told me about 10 years ago, man, try to get me to live remembering 10 years ago. Hard enough for me to remember 10 minutes ago.
well, Leon,
have him do an audio book.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. I was going to ask him to do that.
At one time,
that's what I was going to ask him just now.
A book on syncopation that was out for a little bit. But an audio book, that's an interesting idea.
I mean, he's got the knowledge, right? And he could speak on it.
Yeah. That is an interesting idea.
And that would be excellent for him to do that. And that could be done, he could teach, that could be taught online, as and everything. That would be excellent. Because I think that's the next step. That should be the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can put courses. We can do
Yep.
online courses. That's everybody does online courses nowadays. So, but yeah, that's something to consider. And then we can do it in the
Who has
comfort of
the
our
video
own
and
home.
audio equipment that could actually do
Now,
that?
now he's trying to get himself a job.
Another job.
Share the
That's
wealth.
a great idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
You know, just take a
Yeah.
minute, a
Just
little
a
bit
thought.
of thought to, you know, to develop a curriculum, like you know, with one step, you know,
Right.
to the next step, to the next step,
Right.
kind of a thing. You know.
Okay.
So,
Now I want to say hi. T Life
T.
just
Life
joined,
popped up.
and I want to say
Oh, yeah.
thank you.
What's happening to you, life?
Yeah. Okay, so we're getting ready to close the interview or the conversation, and I want to thank you guys for
Thank
coming
you.
and being here. And I enjoyed seeing you again.
It was our pleasure.
Okay,
It was my
okay.
pleasure.
I want.
Our pleasure.
I really enjoyed. I enjoyed
And great to
meeting
meet you,
and
yes.
It's good to meet you too. And we want to see if we can get to this affair on November 3rd
Okay.
because that's a
Okay.
good time and that's not far from here.
Yeah.
You know, we
yeah.
can get there
Mhm.
in about
That's
15
gonna be a
minutes.
lot of fun. That's
Yeah,
gonna be a
I
lot-
would like to
'cause
get
these
there.
girls I work with, they are all crazy. And they're all-
What-
Which
what-
I think it reflects also on me. I have to admit I had a little craziness in me too.
One
But you
more
have to
shameless
be.
plug
Who's that? What's that?
for the video, for the CD.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
okay. Go
The-
ahead.
The
Al.
CD is entitled Third Stage of Elegance, and it's all original music. It's actually available on cdbaby.com. Elegant, GAHNT, Third Stage of Elegance. All originals. There are about 9 songs on there. Some I wrote with Leon. Some
Okay.
Leon wrote. And there's also one song written with myself and along with a young, well, we're all not as young as we used to be, but her name is Carol Frazier. She's a wonderful pianist. She and I wrote a song a while back, and I finally got a chance to put it on my latest CD. So we're pretty proud of it. You know,
Okay.
pretty happy with the fact that I get to tell stories from my perspective.
That's right.
You know, about some of the things that I've been through, and it's a different twist on life and love and spiritual existence.
Well, we
It's a
will
total
be listening.
different
We'll
twist.
be playing that CD. Okay.
Well, all right.
Okay. And I want to say that I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. And this is really an honor to be sitting here with Leon and Ella. So I want to just thank you for joining in. And I want to say that next week we're going to have Winston Gay on the Indie Show.
All right.
Winston is performing on the 29th at Raymore and Flanagan in Springfield. He's going to be doing a show for Gilbert and I have so many things that we do. You know, you always say that I'm working with death.
Help me.
But, you know, it's all for good. We have a 501c3. It's called Simply Music Incorporated, in which we teach kids how to play music. That's what we do. So I need to get some, you know, see what you're doing, so maybe it'll help us, you know.
Okay.
And so Winston Gay is doing a fundraiser for us, okay?
Excellent.
And that's on October 29th. So he will be on the show next week to tell you a little bit what he's doing and about his upcoming performance, okay? And then we're going to, I want to say you can like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and Facebook. You can find us on Facebook. And if you're interested in appearing on the Indie Show, all you have to do is go to the website, which is dhjindieshow.com. Fill in the contact information, and you know, we'll contact you if you're interested in donating to Simply Music, which is a 501c3. You can go to the website and just push the donate button. Okay. Now, in closing, if you want to listen to some good music, and I'm just not bragging on us, but I know we're good. We're really good. We put a lot of effort. We put a lot of effort in what we do because we love music. So we have various shows on Philly Live Radio. We have come on, help me with the shows now.
The shows? Okay.
Yeah, let's name them.
On Sundays, you have Dr. O.
Dr. O.
Okay. He's on it from 8 to 10.
Uh-huh.
On Tuesdays, you have you and you have me on TOP.
Okay.
Talents of Philadelphia. We play the different songs on Talents of Philadelphia for about an hour, 8 o'clock until 7 to 8. But at 8 o'clock is the Carlos Devon Let's Go Back.
Okay.
Right? And he goes from 8 to 11. On Wednesdays, we have the Jenny Walker's Women Who Jam. Right? On Thursdays, it's at 8 o'clock on Facebook Live. We have something called the Doris Hall James Indie Show. And then on Fridays at 8 o'clock, it is
DJ Boogie.
DJ Boogie, right? DJ Boogie, and then from 10 to 12, it is 10 to 12. Shirley Lights, and she says she wants to lighten up your nights with Shirley Lights.
And Shirley has a real funky, smooth, melodic song out, and it's called Lover's Paradise.
Lover's Paradise.
Okay, and you gotta hear the song. It's really great. So join us. You can join us on Philly Live Radio. Join us on the Indie Show. And I said, if you're interested in appearing on this show, all you have to do is send us an email, and we'll check it out and get back to you. And I'm Doris Hall James, and thank you for listening to the Indie Show. Good night. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you, guys. Thank you.